Welcome to a very special episode of the Broken Campfire podcast. I'm joined by just two of my Campfire compatriots, Flask and Greg.
Hello, fellow tarnished.
And we're here to really just bust it open and talk about the Elden Ring.
Oh, I'm busting.
And by bust it open, I mean have a light to no spoiler chat. I mean, okay, so the game's been out a week now. All three of us here have put a lot of time into it. But we're sensitive to the fact that, like, this is a big-ass game that is maybe the most hyped game in many years. Certainly, it's got to be up there. And it's also a game that we knew pretty much nothing about, other than, like, it was a Souls game. Okay, sure. But it was also the first open-world Souls game. So, in a way, talking about almost anything is a spoiler for, like, the initial wow.
Some part of the experience you might have, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully, if you're somebody who has been following this game, if you're really sensitive to that experience of discovery and exploration, I mean, you shouldn't be listening to people talk about the game at all. You should just be playing it. Or, if you're not in a position to play it yet, close your ears until you can. That being said, I think
Vito just started the game because he had been away, and we kicked him to the curb and threw him out of the studio.
Right,
he's on the street right now.
John said he had way better things to do, and he was not going to play.
John is a whole can of worms I don't even want to open.
But yeah, despite our impressive hours in the game, I think we're going to try to keep this discussion limited to, like, the initial maybe day of our playing, day or two, the initial wow factors. We're going to touch on some of other things, and we're going to spoil many of the systems in the game, which, if you've ever played a Dark Souls game, are going to at least look familiar. All right, that's enough preface, I think, right? I mean, we've cleared the air. We set the table.
I think so.
Yeah, so, what are your guys' initial reaction to the game?
I just went the whole time in one long syllable. Oh.
It's okay. It's hard to open start because the Souls games, I've always been a big fan of them. Like, almost anything FromSoft has made. Well, actually, pretty much everything they've made in the last, like, decade or so since Dark Souls. I've either played and loved, or I haven't played, but I know I would love if I could, thinking of Bloodborne.
Right.
And so it's natural to, like, I'm going to like this game, So I'm going to try, at least for my comments, to rein myself in and try not to sound as excited as I am, and try to get to some kind of, like, good throughput that's not just based on, oh, I love this developer and they just released a super hyped game, That being said, all that qualification, it's amazing that, like, to play a AAA game that has been hyped to infinity and is not just at the hype, but for me, like, actually, like, surpasses it. Like,
it exceeds it.
I actually did not think Elden Ring would be this good.
Yeah,
not that I thought it would be bad.
I was very surprised.
That's something I was thinking about. Like, so this game was
how did this game get
hyped.
made?
It's been the most hyped game for a while, and when it comes out, it actually delivers on everything. Like, how did people know? Or did they? Did they not know, and it just happened to be this good?
Well, FromSoft just has, like, an amazing track record. Like, if you're one of those gamers, who, like, loves their games, like, there's been imitations of the form, some of which have been good imitations of the form, but they're still the number one players,
But their last game was Sekiro, which, like, while not disliked, I think it's probably their lowest liked game. Probably,
sure,
right? Except for maybe Dark Souls 2.
I agree with that. I was not a fan of Sekiro.
And we say that even while it was still a mini outlet award-winning Game of the Year game for the year it came out. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, you grade on a curve with FromSoft, and, like, the Game of the Year of this year is maybe their worst game. to some people. I love Sekiro. But I don't know, man. It's maybe a part of it is because of Sekiro. People were just really wanting that Souls again. And when you think about it, PC fans had waited a long time for a Souls game. You know, because after Dark Souls 3, there was Bloodborne, and then there was
Demon Souls.
Sekiro, and then there was Sekiro. Sure, there was like remasters and whatnot. Sure, but like, I don't know. What I'm getting at is, everybody knows about the hype. So let's start talking about the game.
This game, well, I was gonna say, for me, playing this game, this sounds a little corny, but it's like it felt like playing it when I was a kid again, and I played the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, and I was just let out into the world, and I had no idea what the hell was going on because I didn't read a journal, and I just explored, and I loved it, and I've just been exploring in Elden Ring, and I love it.
It's a game that like is maybe the first game in so much time for me that I just play, and the time just melts away in a way that like I'm not thinking about that real life anxiety thing I got to get done. I'm not thinking about playing this other game. I'm not thinking, am I having fun? Am I bored? Should I take a break from this? You know, I'm just enjoying it, perfectly enjoying it in a perfect state of, you know, this is just cool. Even when it's frustrating and hard, I've never had a moment where I've like rage quit.
And do you think that is partially or in part because we're veteran Souls players? Do you think that a more newbie player to Elden Ring would have that same
I would
feeling?
say yes.
Or?
No, I would say they would more likely just quit it and be done with it.
I guess it depends on the person. Like, for instance, when I first played Dark Souls, which was my first Souls game, I quit after maybe an hour or two, and then came back a month later, got into it, and the rest is history. I played all of them except for Sekiro. But like, you know, obviously it can vary from person to person how much they can tolerate the Souls formula. But like, are we so able to be deeply invested and gripped by this experience because we are already very accustomed to the Souls formula?
I think that's definitely true in part.
I would say not really.
Personally. I think that's definitely true in part, but I also think it's like it helps so much that you have moments where you reach a wall, a boss that you have to spend a lot of time on to learn. You just know it, and you just don't feel like it right now. In more than any other game they've ever made, you just have the opportunity to walk away, and
definitely
like, there's so much damn good quality content in this game, and so much of it that boss you could sincerely go and spend 20 hours doing something else and then come back and just mollywop. I'm sure like at some point with the story, like there's going to be progression gates, like hard progression gates. I'm sure of it, but at least so far in like I don't even want to look at my time because it's like so much. In my 52 hours in the game, apparently, how is it even possible? My 50 some hours in the game,
I have 85.
Yeah, in my 50 some hours in the game, I don't even feel like I'm halfway through the game, and like I've never been walled. You know, it's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my experience, the toughest parts are optional, except for like very early gates, which kind of encourage you to explore. That's kind of a nice thing that they're like, okay, I'm not quite ready for this, maybe in skill level or in character level. So I'm gonna go other places and see what else I can see and pick up, level up a bit. But later on, as the game progresses, I would say that like it doesn't get easier. It definitely stays at the great level of challenge that we can expect from Souls games. But the optional stuff ends up being the toughest stuff because then you challenge yourself to that stuff, and it's this great feeling of like I set myself the task and then accomplished it.
So we're talking about the accessibility of Elden Ring compared to other Souls games, and I think it's an obvious statement, obvious fact rather, that Elden Ring is the most accessible Souls game, and I also think it might end up being the hardest at the same time in a weird way. That being said, I was telling John, our resident fan, or our resident friend, Campfire host, who has bought Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 and did not jive with any of them. I honestly don't think that somebody who has never enjoyed the Souls games can enjoy this game. Because this game is just like, it's like the perfect thesis.
It's a funky, fresh RPG.
It's the perfect thesis of like a formula they've been building on for the last decade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
it takes
why
everything they've learned to this point and utilizes it.
Yeah. That's why it's easy for me to say now because I have so much more game left, I think. But it's why like I feel like I would be content with the idea that Elden Ring was like their last Souls game, maybe that they ever made. You know what I mean? Like it's such a good culmination of everything they've done.
I get that.
Of course, I want more. Don't get me wrong. I really wanted to talk. Well, I don't know if you had another interesting thought on that subject, specifically the accessibility.
No, just I think that you're right that it is the most accessible Souls-like game. It's essentially Dark Souls 4. It's just way more expansive than anything they've done previously, and that openness we're talking about, where you can just go in any direction, I think really allows for a more newbie player to get into it.
Yeah, and again, there's some light spoilers, but like some you start, especially as like a Souls nerd like we are, I think that we start seeing the design decisions behind certain things, and I think that they definitely wanted this to be accessible. You know what I mean? It's stuff like how in the starting area, the story bosses are gates, they're straight walls, but almost all of the optional content, of which there's many around them, has very unique areas with like really cool bosses that are also really manageable. To us, to Souls veterans, they were easy, but they were still, even though they were easy, they were fun fights and they were cool. You know what I mean? I'm not saying
like I get how this works. This boss, their tactics,
exactly,
their techniques,
exactly. So you basically, you can just spend a lot of time doing easy stuff, and you can level up doing that and just become literally more powerful. But also that easy stuff is training you to get better at like the real challenges. I think that like you could view the first 20 to 30 hours game to a newbie would almost be like a tutorial in how mechanically to play a Souls game. You know what I mean?
It's pretty ridiculous to say, but it is basically that. Yes.
Yeah.
And I do think that the sort of mimetic status of Dark Souls as a difficult game that will punish you over and over again may actually help newer players get into this, because they could then expect that experience. They've seen all the hype, and so they're like, this is a good game, and then they get into it and they know how Souls games kill you over and over again, and you'll lose your money or whatever you want to call it, your experience over and over again, and they just know to expect that, so they don't get super frustrated and throw their controller at the wall.
I also hope that those newbies have the same experience I did when I played Dark Souls 1, that discovery experience where like you realize that, of course you call it a hard game because you're grading on a curve, but it's not that difficult. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like once you know what you're doing, once you learn it, I talked a lot in Dark Souls 1 about how the first 10 hours of Dark Souls 1 may well be the first 30 minutes of your next playthrough. You know what I mean? I think this game is going to have some insane... I wouldn't be surprised if people are finished with the game in an hour or two, if they just know the right path or something like that.
I've said over and over again that I cannot wait to see the routing for this game in all sorts of different ways, not just straight up speed running, like fastest to the end, but also just different paths you can take, different things you can do in different orders.
One subject I really wanted to highlight in this light spoiler cast, maybe speaking more to the Souls audience out there, is the quality of life improvements overall in the game and how much that just adds to the game's enjoyment.
Oh yes,
it's stuff like the one that we talk about a lot is how nice it is when you're out there in the open world and you come across a group of enemies and you kill them, and maybe you're a mage, maybe you used all your spells there, you just get you get flasks recovered from killing enemies out in the open world. So like the game just incentivizes you to keep going and going and going. You know,
Just
it's not like
perpetuates your exploration. Yeah.
it's not like Dark Souls where like you're always like mentally calculating in the back of your head the distance to the last bonfire in case things get too hairy and you need to make a run. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all sorts of little things. I don't even like I didn't write them down or anything, but I'm trying to think of like there's all sorts of little things that do I don't know. There's things in the world that are really nice. Like there's statues that'll like lead you to certain hidden away places.
The crypt statues?
Yeah.
There's like little ghosts things that'll like walk you there.
Yeah.
There's that's a good subject to point on. If you've ever played the Souls games before, you already know how the story works, and this game is very similar, but it's also just so much more direct than any Souls game has ever been. There's an NPC that will just tell me who all the major bosses are and like the lore behind them. You know what I mean? There's NPCs who will just say, "Go to this place and get this thing for me." They won't just say something crypt. Like Dark Souls 3 is a great comparison where like in order to get the best ending, you literally have to slash at a corner in a church at the right point in this character's story sequence to like attack a character that's invisible. I'm sure that a Dark Souls 3 nerd will correct me, but with my impression of having played the game like 2 or 3 times, literally no hint to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just have to follow a guide. I'm sure I'm missing stuff, but I've progressed some NPC storylines a few cycles now. A few phases into their storyline, and like so far, like I feel like I'm understanding what's going on. You know what I mean?
I will say I do think it gets more cryptic as it goes along, but still in a way that you could follow the threads.
Yeah.
I don't think I've encountered a thing where it's like I literally don't know what to do. Like it's all a matter of just like, okay, I know generally what I'm supposed to do, and let me just look around, you know?
Right.
Just the general direction that I might suspect. Also, the sites of grace, which are the bonfire equivalents, that they point in the direction of objectives, and like next sites of grace. There's little like wisps of light that flow through the air and point in the direction.
And if you're a Souls veteran who doesn't get how the open world works, right now you're thinking that sounds lame and easy and cheap, right? Because like it just points to the next bonfire, like, oh, just follow the path. But like, it points often just across a big open world where there's so much between you and there.
Yeah, and it's like a 2 foot like stream of light. Like, that we go that
somewhere
way.
Over there.
and in an area there might be 20 bonfire sites of graces, and only 3 or 4 of those are pointing towards an objective. Most of those are just out there and around in like other optional dungeons or whatnot. Sometimes NPCs progressing their quests will point you to cool stuff, but another great thing about this game is just how, and this is just true of the Souls formula, just like bore out so well in the open world. Just like even out in the open world, how the game is like so confident in not telling you where to find things, and just letting you find it yourself, which just makes it that much more impactful.
Yeah, no waypoints, no mini map. You're just going out there and doing it.
Like when a new player just happens to see a horrifying new area in the first 10 minutes of play by, falling into a trap. Having had no knowledge of that area before, having had nobody mention it really, you just see the vista of it and take it in. It's moments like that the game like really gets you. It's a game that really is not afraid of just like throwing you into an area 80 levels above you and just saying like, yeah, you can come back home, or you can just, try it out.
Go at it.
Yeah.
As far as quality of life things go, still, also the way that the way the Ashes of War work.
Oh yeah,
is great.
Yeah, it makes the stat system a whole lot more accessible because you can just change the scaling of any weapon, really. And of course, it's not going to be, I think, as good maybe as if the weapon had naturally had whatever scaling you desire, but it's still like better than having to just know what weapons you're looking for, or having to like just hope you find the weapon of the right scaling. You know what I mean?
But the fact that I thought, because of my Souls experience, that these were permanent applications to weapons was like, oh, okay, I don't know if I want to use this yet. But then I realized, no, they're swappable. Yeah. You can just put whatever on whatever and go to town. Yeah. And then later on you get more options to that even. So it's great. It's a very nice improvement on the way stuff like that worked in previous games.
They're very fun. I like a lot of the moves that they give you.
There's so many things too. So many things.
Multiplayer has never worked better than before.
When it works.
When it works, yeah. We do have often connection issues, which I'm willing to credit to just being a lot of people playing the game.
We actually, what was it when we did the castle the other day? We didn't have any problems. Surprisingly, it was actually
pretty smooth. We disconnected once or twice, but it wasn't crazy. I feel like I disconnected once or twice. It wasn't crazy, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's somewhat a quality of life, but it's really just a co-op thing. I honestly did not expect co-op out in the open world, where it's
that was crazy. I'm surprised
where it's unbounded by a boss. I'm like shocked that they let you co-op without like a clear boss to conquer, and maybe that's just specifically like if you have a multiplayer password on. Which, if so, I'm fine with that because I'm probably not going to summon a random just to run around the open world together. But like,
yeah, you do them with friends.
It's just the experience of like Knoxville summoning me and Greg on the far north end of this area, and we just cut all the way down through these fields. We find this boss that Greg and I had not yet seen at that point. We get bodied, and he resummons us out there, and then we go and we take this castle together, and it's a seamless open world experience with your friends if you want it to be. Of course, you can't use your horse, so there's a lot of reasons why you might explore a lot of most areas by yourself, but it's just the idea that you could. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. That just made me
like
think about
a great example is like there was a cave that I found that you just hadn't got to, Flask. I'm sure you were going to find it eventually, but I was having a kind of a hard time with that cave, and me and Flask hadn't yet found that cave, so he summoned me into his world, or the open world, kind of near it, and I just like gently like pointed like, hey, this is around where we want to go, I'll let you figure it out. And he did, and I just followed him, and we went through, and then we cleared the cave together, and we didn't have to like resummon each other as we moved to different areas. We didn't have to like cross fog walls and that kind of thing. It just worked.
Yeah, I could see, like, as we were talking about new players earlier, I could see new players kind of banding together and just doing the whole game basically as much as you can together, and just like going around exploring stuff together.
Yeah.
Once you hit a cave like that, or some kind of dungeon, then once you clear it with one person, you swap over the other and be like, okay, now we know how to do it. Let's do it better this time.
Now we know how to do it. Yeah.
I was just talking about the open world again was making me think of how, it's like, I think I regard it as like the fun version of Dark Souls. It's like the Breath of the Wild occasion of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Where there's something in every corner of the map. There's something to do anywhere you go, something to see anywhere you go, something to fight anywhere you go. And I mean, you were saying this earlier, how you can just see something and then go to it.
Yeah.
But that is like the pinnacle. This game has like the pinnacle of that feeling to me. Better than Skyrim, which is my main like measuring point, my main bar for like, see that mountain, you can climb it, that kind of thing. And I have not played Breath of the Wild, but I've heard a lot of comparisons to it, and
great
just in the density of Greg, in the density of things to do, things to see.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, all the fucking caves and all over the place in Elden Ring. It's like all the shrines and the Koroks that you have to scramble around to find.
It's pretty amazing that they were able to do that in a game this size too.
Yeah, all without having anything that's popping up on your screen. There's no like messages like the SS Flask mechanic earlier, the recovery mechanic, that also signals to you that you've cleared the enemies, you've killed all the enemies in this camp, or that you've taken this wagon. And that's a way for the game to communicate that to you without needing to tell you,
And I love the way the map works, where it just keeps like, it starts you very small and then it keeps expanding as you explore further out.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
And I'm not going to ruin, I'm not going to spoil this much, but like there's certain features to the map that like once you learn the language, and it's very detailed, but and like once you learn the language of the map, you start to like, you know, get better ideas about where you should go next.
Like you're reading the topography, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're reading the geography, you know what I mean? Like, I think we could say without spoiling, you know, like, without saying any specific example, like, oh, hey, look, there's a cliff that looks kind of weird here. I wonder if there's a cave around that area. And sure enough, like, if you don't find a cave around there, like, you're probably going to find something else cool on the way to it, or something around it. You know what I mean? Something that you're going to wonder, I wonder if all my friends saw this when I did. Or am I doing something wrong and cool by like being here this early? Stuff like that. I get that feeling all the time.
And like this is more of encouragement than spoiling, I think. But like this game just keeps going. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It every time you expect it to stop, it just decides not to. And it's ludicrously expansive. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, I put in 40 hours before even defeating the second major story boss, and I could have gone longer. That's how crazy it is.
Like, for me, you might think from the first area that you have solved the problem of like how to make one of these games. You're like, okay, I see. So like you're just gonna have like some caves and catacombs, some mines. You know what I mean? You're just going to like basically copy paste this and it's all going to be the same in the next area, but maybe with a different color. You know what I mean? But it's just, that's just not the case. Like each area is totally unique. They have some similar features. Of course, there's going to be caves and stuff, but like every area you go to is unique. Every like place you clear is like just feels handcrafted in a way that like they don't usually. And it feels like worthwhile doing just for the sake of doing it, not for like the sake of like gaining experience or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want the fancy item that's at the end of this place.
You don't know what
that's
it's
usually
going to
what
be.
It's
you know what I mean? And but you know it's going to be something cool. And like this game is one of those games where like you like put it in the back of your mind is like, oh man, this is something I could like put on my next build. You know what I mean? So I'm going to try to remember that's there.
It's also and this is, you know, part of the Souls franchise for me, but in most games, I'm really in it for seeing the sort of, I don't know, narrative construction of the entire piece and sort of seeing the way it plays its music. But for this game, I go into dungeons to kill the boss. I want to kill the boss, see what its deal is, and then render it dead.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of like let's fucking go moments in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, like, oh, you again? Oh, we're going to do this again.
I want to say one negative before the end, so it's not left for the end, so we can like get back to positive after this.
Yeah.
And it's a technical thing. It's just, why is there no ultra-wide support for this game? I have an ultra-wide monitor.
Yeah. And in general... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say what you were going to... what they did is the game is still rendering as ultra wide, but they put black bars over the sides.
Oh, that's lame. Why?
That's what they're literally doing. I experienced this myself where the game would start and be beautiful. It would be beautifully filling the screen in all its ultra wide glory, 21:9 glory. And then after a few seconds, these black bars just pop in. It's ridiculous. Why do that? I guess
You're
parody.
Right. They should have the
something.
The bars slowly fade in.
It can't, but it can't be like letterboxing, yeah. But it can't be like for performance reasons, right? Because it's still rendering in the background. The whole game is back behind those bars. I saw them pop in. Other people have seen them pop in, so it makes no sense to me.
Now, didn't what's that game? Didn't Evil Within 1 do something with that?
Oh
also,
yeah, it had the letterboxing. I hated
the letterbox bar.
They ended up removing that in like a later version, but yeah, the version that released initially Had the stupid letterboxing that did nothing to the experience.
And in general, we would be remiss if we didn't mention that the game is having a lot of performance issues, especially on PC. It seems like there's some optimization issues. Unfortunately, one of the very early bosses seems to be a big issue with a lot of people.
Yeah, he would
that kind of thing.
He would destroy my game. He would just make it run like 10 frames a second.
Fortunately, it's pretty stable for me, and I think for most people it's getting better as they play the game, so it's almost like a rendering the open world problem. Hopefully they get figure out some ways to make that better. I'm sure part of it is like just how many times like you get to this vista and you see this enormous impressive structure 1,000 miles away and you're like, I want to go to that, and then you just go to that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was surprised by the fact that I haven't really heard anyone in our group talk about massive performance issues or anything like that. I've heard it from outside sources, like other people.
I've had a few like friends, not necessarily in our group, who have like messaged me about it.
Okay.
Like when
I've had some separate problems from like
I guess we just got lucky.
Performance issues.
I did have, I mean, I wouldn't say like a lot of issues, but it took me a while to find a good configuration my first day. Again, but like and I ended up like setting most things on low, but I feel like literally on the second day I bumped it back up to high and it was like about the same. And I get pretty stable, like 45 to 50 FPS, which is good enough. Whatever.
I've been having issues with the jumping in the game, where there are times where I'll jump and I'll just be caught in like a time loop, and I'll just be flying in the air for a while and I'll just instantly die.
Oh.
And it's happened to me a few times, like during bosses and stuff.
That being said, they did it. They added a jump button.
They did.
Yeah, geez.
And they added a sneak, which I really like.
Yeah, that's from Sekiro, but yeah. Well, I guess the jump is as well. But both still, it was very nice to see that in a Souls formula.
It's crazy how much it adds. Like once you incorporate it into your play style.
Oh yeah, like even like, you know, especially boss encounters and stuff, like you'll start noticing, like, of course you can always roll away from things, but like if you want to stay close to a boss, like there's some bosses that do like this sweeping move that like maybe you want to jump over instead so you can keep slashing, you know what I mean?
And of course the hitbox porn is delicious.
Oh yeah, it's great just, in this game.
You can jump over things, duck under things.
I've never
dodge
felt
around things close shave style.
I don't think I've ever felt like something with bullshit. You know what I mean?
No, not really. Like there was bullshit in earlier Dark Souls games, and I think they got better at it as they went along. They like definitely made sure that didn't persist as a problem.
Yeah. Oh man, what a game! I guess some more concrete stuff, some highlights without spoiling anything. We talked a lot about difficulty and stuff, and how I think there's great balance there. Boss design and enemy design is top tier in this game.
Oh yeah,
and you could definitely, if you're a huge fan, see elements from all their games in this. Man, so many times you see something. Doesn't matter if you're like 10, 20, 50 hours in. What the fuck is that? What is that? What
we were in
is that coming
Discord
towards
chat
me?
Playing this game for many hours, and we heard dozens of "What the fuck is that? What's going on?"
I think somebody last night was like, even saying like we just need to make a drinking game out of it.
Yeah. Super cut of what the fuck.
It feels like when you think about how well handcrafted it is, how much stuff there is, how unique it feels, how well designed the world feels, the combat encounters, all that. It feels like an impossible game, but it definitely feels like probably the best open world game I've ever played.
Oh, it's really high up there for sure.
I mean, I don't want anybody to make concrete statements. Not comfortable with it.
Yeah,
Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 would almost be like the other end of this, where it's like the perfect traditional open world game. You know what I mean? Maybe not quite as traditional, but
sure.
And again, the game's not perfect, and I haven't finished it.
It's also hard to compare because open world is not really a genre. It's like just a map kind
Sure.
of function. I don't know how to describe it, but it's
Sure.
it's hard. It's really hard for me to, in my mind, to compare RDR2 and Elden Ring.
Yeah, I suppose I can see that, but I guess for me it just feels like when I think about just how engaged I am, maybe I think I'm some degrees more engaged with this than I am RDR2. But again, this is also one of my favorite franchises, so I think that is the fanboy in me speaking more than anything.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agreed with you before when you said like, this is the most engaged you felt it, and this is the most like time sink game in a long time, and the most engrossing experience in a long time, and that it just melts the time away. Just melts the time away.
It just keeps giving, dude. The more you play, it just keeps giving at you.
Yeah,
it's great,
and you never feel exhausted of it. My eyes have gotten bloodshot. I'm not sorry to say.
That's crazy. Well, let's start to cap this off. I suppose it sounds like we're airing the bag on stuff. Greg, I feel like me and Flask dominated that conversation. I want to make sure you didn't have anything
I mean, you got a lot of the stuff you guys said. I'd really agree with, except for like, it being the greatest RPG ever or whatever you were talking about, since Morrowind still exists. But like, dude, I highly agree. It's like it's a very, very good game. I would put it up highly. And yeah, I've been having a lot of fun playing it. There's nothing really much else to say. At the rate I'm going, I don't know when I'll be done, but I'd highly recommend this game to anybody. And I'm sure we'll have more to talk about in our 3 other episodes we do about it.
Yeah, I'm like looking at my time and I'm like, man, do I really have 52 hours in this game? How do I have 52 hours?
Yeah, like I was thinking, like you have that. I have like 39 or close to 40. And I'm like, dude, I feel like I haven't done shit in this game.
I must have like left the game on or something because I feel like I do not really have that much time. But even if
I have 85 hours and I have not left the game on. That's how bad it's gotten. It's ridiculous.
But I feel like I'm not even halfway through the game. I think I said that earlier, but man, it's just so much game.
From what I understand about where you are, you do have a lot more left. By the way, I wanted to ask, for the audience's sake, what builds are we rocking, us 3?
I'm rocking started Prisoner. I've just been kind of building up down that starting path, I suppose. I've been building up Dex Int. So I've got rocking a staff in one hand and I now have a katana, but I was rocking a twin blade in the other for a while. You start with an S-Sog. It's a pretty cool class. I do a lot of like run up, whack him a few times, run back, shoot him a few times. Some bosses or enemies I just straight up kill them with magic. There's been a few that I just straight up run in and slash them down with bleed. It's a cool build.
What about you, Greg?
I'm a bandit. I started off as a bandit. I use two daggers and I just bleed things to death, or I shoot them with my my fancy bow. I've definitely killed multiple bosses just shooting them with a bow and running away when they get close.
Some people would call that cowardly, but I call that
hey, listen, you can call that whatever you want, but I'll be alive at the end of the day.
Flash, you started Hero?
I did start Hero. I always go Strength my first time through a Souls-like game. So I went, I'm a big poise boy. I can't be knocked down. And but I'm not rocking a shield. I am just going two-handing a colossal sword.
Right.
So I do roll through and around enemy attacks, and I'm doing like medium.
And then you smash them.
And then I smash them. I get in slow large hits, so I do a ton of damage. There's so many ways to play.
With the Ashes of War, you can just try out different weapons and say fuck it, who cares? Play whatever feels cool. I do love another thing, man. There's so much to mention, but as a Souls veteran, I love the fact that I got my shit wrecked immediately. I love the fact also that every time I feel like I'm a god, I go somewhere I haven't been, and sometimes there's something there that makes you be like, "No, I'm just immortal. I'm cool. I'm not a god yet." You know what I mean?
I'm a god. Oh no!
I've definitely gotten overconfident, proceeded to get kicked in the head, and just left the area. Like
I remember-
I'll be back.
I killed one boss and felt so fucking cool. I was like, man, I can't be killed. And I went to like literally the next, I think, intended area in the story and spent an hour killing an enemy there just because of how much it was wrecking my shit. You know what I mean?
And the best part is when you enter a new area, perhaps ahead of schedule, and you go to fight the first like lowly creature lurking in the muck or whatever, and it takes like a dozen swings to put it down. You're like, oh god, what am I doing here?
Yeah, for sure.
It's the nature
world,
of this open
cool
world
characters.
Elden Ring.
Cool game. Well, all right. Here's where we're at. All right. We've all set our time. We're not going to spoil anything more for you friends. By now, you know, you should thoroughly understand whether or not you want this game. And if you are playing this game, I hope you're enjoying it. You should check out next week. We're going to have, I think, a regular episode. And following that, I don't know if it'll be the week after, but at some point, probably in the next month. I don't know. Who knows? I really can't say with people's schedules and everything. We are, I think, going to do a big Elden Ring spoiler cast where we might reiterate some of what was said here in a succinct fashion, but we'll get more into the lore of what we understand, more into like the whole structure of the game, and evaluate it as a whole from there. So check that
That'll be
out
fun.
here soon.
If Vito can get off his ass and get to the Elden Ring or whatever.
We should set a broken campfire group password.
Like, so people can join it.
Well, a group password so they can see our signs and we can see theirs.
Right.
All right, if you're listening to this podcast, make your group password broken campfire, all lowercase, no spaces.
I was like all one word.
All one word, no spaces, broken campfire.
Good luck.
Good luck, my friends. We'll see
Don't
you
be
out there.
meaningless. It'd
if
be
you-
really embarrassing.
Flask, play music over this. If you find an enemy out there that can't beat, don't be afraid to go do something else. Don't you dare go hollow. Arise now, you tarnished. Loathsome Dung Eater.
Finger
Can you
maidens.
play like some insane boss music, like it's like just super loud and intimidating?
I really wish Vito was here because I was gonna do a bit where I called him Vito the All-Knowing.
It's like, what? What's that?
Alright. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Good luck.
Did you see I was doing one of those like one of
Yeah,
those
that's good.
carving
One of
voices?
those carvings, yeah.
So yeah, I've only got a few hours in, but I'm digging it so far. I think I'm unique here. In the beginning, some of you picked the key or whatever, but I picked the clown shoes. They kind of stuck out to me, and I was really digging those. They let you get into that faction kind of earlier. So it's kind of like a speedrun strat. And most of the bosses, standard Dark Souls affair. You dodge, you dip. The Alabaster Scrug, I don't know if we're talking about spoilers, but yeah, the Alabaster Scrug, he probably gave me a lot of trouble. Just his patterns and his that waffle maker thing he has really threw me for a loop. But you can see the influences of other popular games too. I don't know if you guys found this is gonna be more spoilers. I don't know. I won't get in trouble for this. I don't know if you guys found the Fortnite Easter egg yet with the dance you can do. That's a pretty good one. Overall, I think in the past I may have called the game Elden Ring dang or something like that. Maybe I was just being a little too hard on it.